shop. And they also use fresh produce cans. It's the guy fired up, but I got to get the person off. He tasted once. 1845 South Street. 1845. It's an excellent location inside. Oh, they got it doing another function. Is that okay?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm sitting here today with Brother Arron Muhammad at Akhirah's coffee shop, Pralines shop. Good coffee. If you don't drink coffee like me, you get some good tea and some apple juice. We got some bean pie right here, fresh baked goods. But here, sitting here with Brother Arron Muhammad, who's a long-time entrepreneur. Going back, I know probably before that, which we'll get into, is I knew of him of opening your produce market. Basically, it was a produce market, had a deli before a lot of people even doing. So some of the stuff that you see happening at, I'm not going to even say their name, but at some of the popular grocery stores and stuff, you know, Brother Arron was doing that with your produce market back in the day in the 90s. Also, along with that, you know, and it ties together with the Your Produce is if you can see him, you can see that he's a physical trainer. And he's been doing that as well. And maybe at some point we'll see if we can get into how that started as well. But it's an honor and privilege to have him here today. And the main focus and goal of this, and this won't be the last time we have the honor to hear from Brother Arron, God willing, but the purpose is really to inspire us to really get into entrepreneurship and the value of doing something for yourself. And so I'm going to get started with the first question that I have for you, Brother Arron. And that's, you know, what got you to start your first business?
I don't know if I want to talk about that in the beginning.
Okay.
Because the first business was pre-Islam.
Okay. So
let's go to the next question.
Okay, that's fine. So how about if we get you to start with your produce? What got you to start your produce market?
Oh, it wasn't initially an ideal of mine. Even though I've been in food and beverage for longer than I can remember. I've been involved in food and beverage and in the food business, but moving to New Orleans in the mid '80s and soldiering with some of the believers down in New Orleans who were involved in produce markets is what got me into the produce market business. When I moved back to Chicago, but that's where that idea sprung from, and I was just blessed to evolve it into a produce market in a health center, or a health food store. It was called Your Produce Market and Nutritional Center. The actual name of Your Produce Market in Woodlawn back in the early 80s up until I think 90, or not early 80s, I'm sorry, up until late 80s into 97 or 94, I think, was our run for Your Produce Market. We had fresh produce. We had a full line of health food products. We had a deli. We had 2 hot soups. We had a salad bar. We had a juice bar. We had fruit salad, dairy products, and fish. We had fish as well. So it was a full line grocery store and a nutritional center. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, the fact that you've had, since I've known you, you've been doing something for yourself, and you never seem to be really committed to punching the clock for somebody else. So, you know, it appears you have a value for that. I would be correct assuming that, right?
Absolutely, on that point. Yes, sir.
So just kind of jumping in, why is it important that we have our own businesses? Why is that something you think is important?
Well, it's so evident today that, as Honorable Muhammad taught us, that uh, no one is going to be able to create enough jobs for themselves, let alone for us as well.
Yes.
If we don't begin to start doing something for ourselves, we're going to be in pretty big trouble.
Yes.
We have to start pooling our resources, and which is what I like to talk about is the benefit of pooling our resources. Many of us, brothers and sisters, that try to start up businesses, and a lot of us have our own business, whether it's our plumbing company that we have, and or we're an electrician, and the messenger taught us, the Honorable Muhammad taught us to do for self. And so that's what we work to do. We go out and start working for self, and we develop our own job. And I say our own job and not our own business, because a lot of times we be our own employee, or employee, I should say. And when you doing for self and your own employee, you hadn't really created a business, but you created a job.
Yes.
Because if you don't work, then you don't get paid.
Right.
You don't use the efforts of other people. When you created a job for yourself, if you get injured, then your business is jeopardized. And me as a personal trainer, I got, after your produce marketing, getting into the personal training business, I really got comfortable not having employees. What comes along with employees is other people's issues.
Yes.
And so as a personal trainer, Allah has blessed me to be successful at it. I had a pretty high profile clientele, by God's grace. And I got comfortable not having to worry about other families or because I didn't have employees. But at a point about 5 or 6 years ago, I injured myself, had a broken ankle, and had I not established my own gym or workout studio in my home, then my income would stop.
Yes.
At that point in time. But I was able to bring a young man in that wanted to learn the business and have him do what I would have did with my foot up with my clients, if you understand what I'm saying. And so, so it dawned on me, I need to change the business, to get back into the business of creating jobs for people. But also, when we have businesses, I'm going to use that lack of a better word, and we're our own employee. Business, sister has her own business, I have my business, that one has a business, and you would think we're doing for self, and what it turns, but the reality is that we're doing it by ourselves. Right. And that brother's catching hell, that sister's catching hell, I'm catching hell, everyone is catching hell because we failed to follow the instructions of the Honorable Muhammad, which first was to pool our resources and then do for self. And so we at a time right now, regardless of what book you read, we at the end time, as the Christians call it, the end time. And America's falling quickly. And we are so divided and separated, we don't have anything. We're just unproductive people because we fail to pool our resources. So the time that we live in dictates that we begin to do for self, and pool our resources and do for self. If you look at some of the big businesses, take the airlines for instance. Airlines begin to merge when they realize that they're struggling alone. Big companies begin to merge when they realize that they're struggling. It's hard to do it by themselves. Christ himself said, or Jesus himself said, me or myself can't do anything. So what we have, with respect to Black people, we have a lot of impediments that keep us from pooling our resources. We all been beat by one another, or been had by one another. So trust is an impediment that we have to keep us from apart. Fear is another one. You said earlier about me, I don't know how the words you use, but I like to say I'm not job orientated. I'm not above going to get a job if that's what it takes to feed my family. But a lot of it has blessed me to be intelligent enough not to go and have to punch the clock. Has it been easy? No, it's not easy, but it's nothing sweeter than being free. And that's what I feel, and that's what I enjoy, the freedom of, and just the freedom, just to exercise the God-given power of your mind, to think of how to get out of one situation, after another situation, after another situation, so that you can feed your family. That's what doing for self has done for me in all these years. And it's been since '81 since I punched the clock.
Wow, crazy. Yes, now you spoke on a few things that kind of sparked something in me, but I want to go back first to, the thing that I always see you talking about, which is pooling your resources. At first, what I used to think when I hear pooling resources, the first thing I think a lot of people think is money. And it's like, well, I don't have any money, or I don't have much money. So, I got to wait till I get some money so I can pool my resources with somebody else. And we know the financial situation that many of us may be in. We live in paycheck to paycheck, so we don't really see the ability to pool our resources. Can you kind of speak to that?
Yes, sir. Pooling resources, putting what monies that we have saved in our little accounts, it doesn't even scratch the surface to the understanding of pooling resources. You get 10, 15, 20 of us together, and we start looking at, well, I got this amount in the bank, and you got that amount in the bank, and we got this amount in the bank. And most of us, after you do all of that, you'll find out you still don't have enough, because that's not all the pooling resources. Pooling resources, the pooling of ideas, the pooling of your minds. But here we're sitting in the carriers. I just put out maybe a little better than 100,000. And I didn't have 100,000. But my resources was other people. Money only comes from one source. And the only source that money comes from is other people. So the class of people that you spend your time around, or that not just spend your time around, but that you associate with, I should say, determines on how much resources you can have. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that if we follow him and the God that he represents, he will promise luxury, money, good homes, and friendship in all walks of life. And this friendship in all walks of life, if I just hang out in the hood on 63rd Street or 79th Street or 47th Street, how many types of walks of life would you find on 63rd Street or in Woodlawn or Inglewood? Not,
Right, yes, sir.
We all poor, and if all your associates is poor, then how much money can you get from those people? Because that's where money can come from, other people.
Yeah.
You can follow what I'm saying? So we really have to put ourselves in a position to reap the promises of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He wasn't a liar when he said a lot of promises of money, good homes, friendship, and all walks of life. And if he's not a liar, then we have to look at what we're doing or not doing,
yes, sir,
to reap the benefits that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Allah promised us.
Yes. I do want to push a little bit more on the pool, the different types of resources that if you don't have money, if you don't necessarily have friends that have money right now, what are some of the things that, because we all got resources, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the other things that we can do to kind of look at what we already have come at the table?
Again, that's why it's so important and so necessary that we pool our resources. I may not be connected to some people that have money, but you may. Mm-hmm. That brother may, that sister may. But the pooling of our minds.
Yes, sir.
You follow what I'm saying? May come from someone who don't know many people. you know, in the God-given divineness of his mind, it's part of resources. And that's why it's so important that we share more brotherhood. That's why it's important that we share more sisterhood, because most of us don't know one another and don't know what's in each other. You follow what I'm saying? And unless we begin to share brotherhood, spend time together, get to know each other, we won't get it done. You know, talking to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan not too long ago, I mentioned how I wasn't a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad growing up, but I remember as a teenager, a young adult, you can go to black communities around this country, and you would find the followers of Elijah Muhammad. They had businesses. They were almost monopolizing the businesses in the black community back in the 60s and 70s. They had shoe stores, they had upholstery shops, they had grocery stores, they had fish markets, they had bakeries, they had restaurants, they had apartment buildings. And many of those believers that was with Honorable Elijah Muhammad during that time, they didn't have a high school education, many of them. Many of them didn't even finish elementary school. But why were they so successful? They were successful because they pooled their resources. They followed the instructions of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They just obeyed him. They followed his instructions. They didn't have, they wasn't afraid, you know, not of one another at that time. So they pooled their resources, they followed his instructions, and they built, and that's the difference between them and us. We're just not obeying. We're not obeying. And again, some of the impediments is that we had bad experience with one another, but we got to get out of that. We got to grow out of that, you know. If that means chopping off the head of somebody that steals from us, and so be it. You know, make an example of one or two, and then that stuff will end real quickly. But we have to have some trust. We have to have some trust. We have to be serious. There's really no time to be putting around. You know, anybody that understands the time that we're living in know that we are really, really, really behind. I just hope and pray that Allah bless us with a little bit more time to build.
Yes, thank you. There's a lot in that. I'm gonna shift a little bit right now to something that you said earlier, and you dealt with the difference from, you know, we always talk about do for self, or even starting businesses, and many of us think, and not to down our brothers who may not have reached that full extent of what it means to own a business, but can you talk about the difference from, you know, and sometimes hustling is a part of the step of actually owning a business, right? So, but can you kind of make that clear? Because sometimes we think that, you know, I work really hard every single day and I'm working just with my effort, and we think that we have a business. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about what it is to actually own a business versus owning a job?
You know, when me and my business partner had your produce market, we were able to travel to London, I think about 12 days. And as we were in London, we had income coming in because of the effort of other people. So having a job is one thing. It's the effort of oneself. I heard someone say one day that I'd rather have the efforts, 1%, 2% of the effort of 100 people, you put 100% of my own effort in. You follow what I'm saying? And so utilizing other people's efforts and other people's money is the difference of a business and a job. There's nothing wrong with that. You really have to learn how to treat people the way you like to be treated, you know, which is the golden rule, which is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. Do unto others as you have done unto yourself. And I'm a kind of person, I don't have a problem sharing wealth, you know what I mean, for those that have built. If you look at, what is the young man named that started, I think, in Apple's garage?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Those young men that was in the garage with him, they're not still in the garage. And and they're not on no assembly line nowhere. They're probably taking care of business from some jetliner or the yacht, they're offering the yacht. So those that help him build it and develop it, they reap benefits from it. I hope I answered the question as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But the benefit and having, and you mentioned hustling. Hustling is the beginning of it. One thing I say all the time is that great ideas go to the grave every day. And many of our people have, most of us are running off with great ideas and just saying, if we only had this amount of money, if we only had that amount of money. But we have to learn how to work an idea to where it's real, it's touchable, you can smell it, you can see it, you can sit down and you can feel it, you can hear it. Get it out of here and make it a reality. And that's a walk, that's a struggle, it's a journey, and that's what we have to learn to do. And when it first started, we're taking it out of here, putting it on paper, and looking at it, and analyzing it, and looking at the mistakes that you didn't think about that was there already. You follow what I'm saying? Instead of just trying to get the money because you have an idea, and then you end up blowing the money because you don't know the process of making that idea a reality.
Yes, sir.
It's more than a notion, but it's very, very doable. You may change the idea after you start writing it down and see what it's like. But every day, if you're true to it, every day you will be doing something towards making that what started as an idea a reality.
Yes, sir.
But it goes from an idea to a plan. The idea has to turn into a plan before it does anything else.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have another question that, kind of goes back is, we hear the term a lot about stealing away, and everybody's situation is different. And of course, I desire and on the path by Allah's grace and permission, I believe to free myself from my job right now. And it's not a job that I created for myself. But a lot of people talk about stealing away. So can you kind of talk about what that looks like, or just kind of explain what that is and what it can look like, or just kind of what your thoughts are on
that? Some things I learned from our beloved Brother Minister Arron Muhammad, the international representative of our nation. He used to be in Chicago when we was beginning stage of rebuilding the nation. And he talked a lot about stealing away and how it must be done. I remember when brothers we first heard that we got to do for self, and out of emotion and not thinking things over, many brothers quit their jobs and said they're just going to sell newspapers on the street, or they're just going to sell bean pie, or they're just going to, they're just going to hustle and not do the, not go back to their job. And Brother Akbar added some balance to that thinking, if I must say. To me, he did. He mentioned when you decide that you're going to start doing something for yourself and create your own job, business, whatever you want to term it, quitting your job is not where you start. What you start doing is start working your idea while you're working your job, because you still have to feed yourself and your family. You still have to take care of your responsibility. When you decide you want to start doing something for self and you have a job, all that means that you got to start burning the candle on both ends. If you're giving if you're giving 8 hours to someone else, just start giving yourself 6 hours. Just my numbers, okay? Just, give yourself 6 hours. And when you get an opportunity, stretch it out to 8 hours. Give yourself what you would give somebody else. That's only 16 hours out of the day, out of a 24-hour day. There's no time to be playing around when you're trying to steal away. Steal away is a plan.
Yes, sir.
Then at some point in time, you're going to get a little vacation from that job, from somebody else's job, right? Now you give yourself, that's not a time to take a vacation, that's the time to work your plan, work your idea, work your business, and see what it gives you. You know, and when it gets to the point that it can match what you're getting on somebody else, then it's then it may you getting closer to the time where you have to develop the kind of faith, you know, and a surety that you can do your thing for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Does it make sense?
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
So still in a way it's got to be planned. You know, you was a thief, you going to steal something, you don't go in there without a plan. You gotta have a plan to steal. But you're talking about stealing away from somebody who's had us for a long time.
Yes, sir.
So that takes a real plan. And it takes some faith in the law and some courage.
Yes, sir.
To steal away. I had something I was going to add to that. It may come up later.
Yes, sir.
But that's what you have to do when you're talking about stealing away.
I appreciate that. Definitely gave me some.
Now, in my case, I have to say this.
Please.
Because this goes something to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was a night bail captain at the Pitt Congress Hotel, which is where the believers during the rebirth of the nation stayed at during the time of the first public Savior's Day during this rebuilding stage of the Nation of Islam. So I had an opportunity to hear Minister Farrakhan and be around Muslims February 25th, 1981. February 26, 1981 was the first public Savior's Day that the minister did in the open.
Okay.
And I went to go hear that lecture. And that night I decided to stop all of the things that I was doing that I had no business doing and just study. And eventually, when I wasn't the same fool that I was when I started working at the hotel, they fired me in July of 81. And I was out of town in New Orleans at the time when they fired me. And my then wife called me and told me that the hotel said I was terminated. And I remember before I hung up the phone saying, well, that would be the last time somebody get a chance to do that to me. So sometimes your back is against the wall, or you get mishandled, and they really do you a favor.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I look at. They've done me a favor when they fired me and they forced me to do for self. I was always a hustler. I just did it differently.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
In the name of Allah.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, one thing is that I just want to stress the emphasis of everything, and we've talked a little bit about this before, is that the goal of this is really to be instructive, you know, and I think that this is the beginning of a discussion that Allah will and will continue to have that will inspire others to at least begin to consider doing for self.
I would hope so.
Those who are doing for self, that we look forward to giving them some more tips so that they can step up their game.
Yes, sir.
You know, recently I just talked to a brother that, you know, and I always admire those who are doing for self or have a business, because I know that that's something I'm striving for, and I try to pick your brain as much as I can and those others that I know are doing it. But recently, a brother that has been doing for himself for a while, he's like, man, you know, things are hard. I just had to go back and get a job. So can you kind of just maybe kind of talk on what that's like, or what have you had that type of experience, or is there something? And actually, it's two individuals I can think of that just in the past 2 weeks that have had that same type of situation. So is there anything that you could say that kind of help out with those situations, or what advice would you give or guidance that you think you may be able to kind of share?
Personally, I had never really experienced that feeling to where I felt I was nothing else I can do but go get a job. I hadn't experienced that since I decided no one would get a chance to fire me again. Um, but at one point, when I decided to get into the personal training business, I saw the sign values going up. We were opening up a new gym in Hyde Park. And I went in there while they was doing the build out and inquired about a job.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I felt I needed a job at that time. I was hustling and making money, to take care of my family at the time. And it wasn't easy, but I was doing it.
Yes, sir.
But I went there because I wanted to learn something about that industry,
Mm-hmm.
the fitness industry, and so I went in there and asked for a job. Little did I later I realized that I was more like a contractor
Mm-hmm.
than having a job. If I wasn't good at marketing myself as a personal trainer and good at training, then I would have been a broke trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but feeling like I just had to go back and get a clock again, I'm not above that if that's what it takes to feed my family. But I just think that Allah just gave me too much intelligence to not know how to feed my family and take care of my family. I mean, I got more intelligence than a bird, and the bird take care of their family, and the fox take care of their family, and all these little animals can take care of their families and they litter.
Mm-hmm.
I got more than that. So I just hadn't felt the need to have to go and punch a clock again. You can't. One of our biggest problems is being lazy. We never want to admit it. That's one of our biggest problems. Fear, fear of not having someone structure your life, letting you know that you have to be here by this time, and this is your break time. Uh, you have 3 restroom breaks, and this is the time you got to be back. And sometimes that's a sense of security to some people. Having a job has never been a sense of security to me. And I realized that when I got fired in '81, unjustly fired, should I say. Um, my biggest prayer is that Allah, God, bless me with my health and my strength. If He bless me, that's one of my major prayers. Because if He gives me that, then my family won't be outdoors. Because I'm not a lazy individual. I'm going to go to work. And at this point, I'm just going to continue building. Hopefully, I can continue to get people to understand the science of pooling resources. Mm-hmm. What are your resources? How do you bring it together? The fear of asking has got to be, you can't have that fear of asking. We try to science up on it like it's something way up in the sky, but Jesus just gave us a very simple instruction: ask. Mm-hmm. Ask and you shall receive. Knock, seek, you shall find. Mm-hmm. Those are very, very simple instructions. When we get out of the fear of asking, then we'll learn, we'll get closer to pooling our resources, those other resources that we never don't even understand that we have.
Yes, sir. So, kind of getting to the close of this, wanted to see if there's anything, in terms of, younger people. I think, and we've had this discussion a little bit before, that as you get older, it becomes a little more challenging to take chances and to jump out there, right? So is there anything that you could speak to those who may not have as much responsibility and they haven't necessarily been as contaminated? You have anything that you would think that you could give that group, the younger?
The word contaminated you use is an interesting word. I like to say the youth hadn't been damaged. Okay. And but they do look at us kind of funny because many of us, as followers of the Honorable Muhammad, helpers of Minister Farrakhan, we like to tell our children that the Honorable Muhammad said, we must do for self, we must do for self. While we're getting dressed and prepared to go and work on somebody else's job. And I just can imagine how they must look at us as parents. Mm-hmm. But the good thing about the youth, I enjoy working with the youth. I enjoy helping the youth and working with them. And one of the reasons why, several reasons why, but one of the reasons why is that they have not been duped as much or very little. In other words, we as adults, we've been beat out by one another. But the trust, the violation of trust has not been damaged in many of our youth. And if you can teach them the problems that we have and impediments that we have, and that they must not violate each other's trust when they decide to go into things together, then that's an excellent start. Another thing, they're not job orientated. They're not job orientated. I can take a classroom full of youth and I can build a city with it, because they have to, if you can teach them to feel a part of it, you can make them see themselves in your ideal or in your dream, and it becomes theirs as well. Then they will work hard. They will work hard, they won't violate the trust. You can get a lot done with young people. A lot more done with young people than you can get with many of us that are afraid. I used to sell fruit bags on the streets in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And people would ride by me, some of the stupid ones would tell me, you get out of the street and get a job. And they didn't realize that I was probably earning more than them by 9:30 in the morning before they got downtown. Right. And then there was those faces you would see, many of them didn't know if they had a job when they got downtown. You could see the stress on their face. Didn't know if their job was being downsized, right, or things of that nature, But the young people you can do a lot with. You can do a lot with them, but you can't afford to violate it, because they're also people that will take you out of here.
Yes, sir.
They will take you out. They're not like us. They're different breeds. But Farrakhan said they're a generation of fulfillment, mm-hmm, but we was a generation of hope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Brother Aaron, is there anything else as we close out that you want to share?
Yes, we better get together, start pooling our resources and building. And her sister Ava said it so wonderfully one day. The America's falling. We just got to be careful that it don't fall on our head.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brother Aaron. Once again, we're right here at Akhirah's at 1845 South State Street in Chicago, Illinois. If you're interested in getting pralines or you got some type of coffee,
you got the best praline candy in the country. Don't nobody make praline candy like Akhirah. I'm telling you. People from Louisiana come here and taste our praline candy. They are just outdone.
Tell us some of those flavors you got.
Well, we do the traditional one. Don't get all upset and crazy, but we do the plain and traditional flavors. Is pecans in it. We do a rum flavor pecan. We do just a plain rum flavor. But we get into a little gourmet praline candy, and me and Sister Amy have always done it with sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds is like cranberry. We do it with cashew. We do it with cashew, and really soon we're gonna surprise people with I don't want to say what we're gonna do with the praline candy.
He's gonna tell me after we get off.
Yeah, I'll tell you after we man. But and our coffee is roasted about 10 minutes from here from another brother. The best. If you haven't had fresh roasted coffee, you don't know what you're missing. We're probably the only people in Chicago that get fresh roasted coffee with chicory, which is a Louisiana thing. Okay. And so we're sitting in a spot that's similar to that of the French Quarter. We're proud of it, and this won't be the only one now.
Yes, sir.
We definitely intend on opening up a chain and eventually wanting to franchise. Be the will of God.
Okay. Well, thank you once again, Brother Aaron. We look forward you to come out and support your own. This is your coffee shop, praline shop is yours. So come on and join us and get your pralines, your coffee, and he's gonna tell me what that other praline candy that he's gonna have pretty soon. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum.